But at the same time, I'm going to make this very clear.
I've been waiting for a long time, waiting all week.
But we all have Valdosta State ties, which is the reason why we decided to get this podcast to try.
Cairo, yeah.
Cairo, yes.
We all say that.
New Jersey?
This is Title Town. We win championships.
The fire in my loins.
That'll be later on in the podcast, folks.
I can't wait.
He made a promise to God. He said,
You allowed 28 points against a team that was essentially playing like a lucky person playing Madden, going for 2 after every touchdown.
and I think God has given him his end of the bargain.
The gigantic metaphorical middle finger.
The dirty Myrtle is exactly how it sounds.
And this is the Inferno Blazer Sports Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inferno. I am the enforcer, the one and only Chris Mercer. To my right, he considers himself half man, half amazing. He is Jalen, public dress announcer for your Valdosta State Blazer women's volleyball.
Appreciate that one, man.
What's going on, brother?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Man, I'm good,
appreciate
man.
The half man, half amazing. I don't know where that came
Also,
from.
that middle name is really long. I didn't know.
It was.
That
birth certificate is a dissertation.
I thought it was
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah.
I thought it was just Xavier, but no, half man, half amazing. All right, I'll take that.
Sitting across from me, Booster Club president, the one, the only syrup maker in the building.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Kyle Hawthorne. What's going on, brother?
What's up, Chris? Doing good. How are you, man?
Man, I'm good. And finally, last but not least, coming back from the superintendent meeting right on time, Mr. Jack Calhoun. How you doing, man?
No place I'd rather be. Go
Hey,
Blazers.
man, listen, I'm really, really grateful that you made it today, man. I know pulling out is...
What do you mean by that?
One.
It took 2 minutes, folks. It took
Listen, I
2
know
minutes.
pulling out of events is really hard for you. So to
You
make
mean like the Phillies pulling out a win last night? Oh, yeah.
no, that was
Yeah,
probably
that
the
didn't
Braves
happen.
pulling out of neutral after losing to the Phillies. So
Yeah.
So as
Welcome to the couch.
Welcome
Travis
to the couch.
Kelce once said, "Know your role and shut your mouth." Now,
Fair point.
yeah, as we are all sitting in here, man, homecoming was just passed. It's good to see everybody made it out unscathed.
You'll say, I think all 4 of us were in attendance that day.
Yeah, all 4 of us.
It's a rarity. All 4 of us get to be there.
You know, we're going to discuss that in just a little moment. So, Jalen Scott, half man, half amazing. Lead us into our first topic of today.
All right, cool. So I'm going to keep this one a little short here. I want to give a shout out to the Blazer cross country teams. We don't really get to talk about them as much, but they just competed in the Gulf South Conference Cross Country Championship, facing everybody else in the GSC. We're gonna go over the top performers real quick. Both teams finished 10th overall, so both men's and women's teams placed
Top
10th
10 finish, not bad.
Exactly, and had numerous PRs. So for the women, we're going to start with senior Katie LaCroix. She led the charge for the Blazers, so she clocked a PR of 19 minutes, 5.8 seconds to finish in 26th place. Next up was junior Caitlin Kosk, who finished 1924.7, which is good for 36th place. So we had 2 top 40 finishes, 1 top 30 finish for the women. Definitely leading the charge there for that 10th overall finish for the women's team. Charlotte Carley made her Gulf South Conference debut, finishing with 21 minutes and 5 seconds, placed 69th overall. She placed 69th overall. We had another couple finishes. 71st overall was Kaylee Rice. JC Anderson placed 99th. Lee would unfortunately run away with first place, but Valdosta State still had that overall top 10 finish. For the men's side, Logan Krause, graduate student, led the Blazers a time of 25:47.5 for the 8K. So an 8-kilometer race, placed 27th overall, 25 minutes and 47 seconds. And then just a whole jumble of Blazers there fighting for... As they were fighting for position, supposedly down to the very last second, at least according to the article I'm reading, Alec Munger finished 59th overall, 27:19. As he passed 6 runners in the final 3,000 kilometers to secure his spot.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
So 6 runners in the span of the last 1/3 of the race is definitely great for him. Freshman Aaron Munger, brother, finished not too far behind. He finished 66th. Matthew Hendon finished 67th. So overall, just a great performance there from the Blazers cross-country teams, both men and women, again, finishing 10th overall on both sides. So absolutely great for them as they continuing their season head out to Montevallo, Alabama to compete in the NCAA Division II South Regional. So cross-country teams are going to regionals in a little bit. Men will be running the 10K, women will be competing in a 6K. So I wish them absolutely nothing but the best heading into that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So I also have the next topic here. So the next thing I want to go into is Blazers soccer. So I just did a whole extra Ember about this. That's out on all of our platforms, which, by the way, did you guys know we are on like 5 or 6 different platforms now?
That's good.
Oh,
I did.
Yes, I did.
We'll be linking all those in the description of this podcast and literally everywhere we post this. But the topic I want to go into now is Blazers soccer. They split their final home Gulf South Conference series against Spring Hill College and West Florida. They beat Spring Hill 2-0. Molly Woolridge netting 2 goals in that game, and they lost 1-0 against West Florida, which they only had 3 shots on goal collectively against West Georgia. Kyle, I know you were in that game. You were on camera for that game. Did you really think that was concerning for this Blazer team, who usually so possession dominant?
You mean West Florida, right?
Yeah, West Florida.
I mean, for the West Florida
Okay,
game.
I'm just making sure because they got a game against West Georgia this week.
What I took away from that game, and I know you talk about it in your extra Ember that just got released, but now I'm not saying offense, defense, because offense, defense, that changes so much in soccer.
Yeah.
But really, they really didn't spend a whole lot of time on the opposing side of the field where, you're having to be in that go atmosphere for pretty much the entire game where you're not really having that time to control the ball and to control the pace of play. And I really think that hurt them. I mean, what'd you say, like 3 shots on goal?
Yeah,
I mean,
three
I
shots
believe
on
it. I believe it. And 2 of those shots on goal actually happened probably within maybe a 2 or 3 minute period when they was actually attacking, and it just didn't work out. And then they just couldn't stay on the opposing side of the field. And that's really what I noticed. It was a lot.
Yeah, and that was something I noticed in my extra Ember as well. I worded it as West Florida did to us what we do to other teams. So how Valdosta State plays, they usually play this kind of really aggressive forecheck on the forwards and on the midline, keeping the ball in their offensive zone, not really allowing anything past that midline and not allowing any meaningful other team or visiting team possessions.
Yeah.
But going past that now, another interesting stat, 30 total fouls in that game. 30 fouls.
Almost split down the middle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was 16 by West Florida, 14 by VSU, and a yellow card was given to each team. But anyways, the result of that series comes out to putting VSU at 8-5-3 overall, 6-5-1 in the GSC. Another team that's also got a 6-5-1 record in the GSC, West Georgia, who we're going to face October 27th in Carrollton, Georgia. That's essentially going to decide who gets the 4th seed.
And if I may also mention, because as the sports editor, I'm writing an article about this. It's coming out later today. As of right now, it's the last scheduled game that both Valdosta State and West Georgia will be playing in soccer. So not just a playoff seeding on the line. It's more of who can take the last in this scheduled rivalry as well.
That is true.
Yeah, and
also
that's
football as well, as we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
Just I'd like to mention that's honestly it's kind of sad for me just because I know the rivalry and I know how much it means to the players. I would really like to see West Georgia in all sports find a way to find a non-conference to still come down and face Valdosta State. Keep that rivalry. I know they're going to have rivals in Division I, and obviously we have kind of formed that rivalry with West Florida right now, kind of moving into that over the past few years. But I would really like to see, not just in football, within soccer as well, just to keep that rivalry alive, keep the peach basket going back and forth. Well, maybe not back and forth. Maybe we keep it in football, but just to keep that rivalry alive. I think it's really important to the school.
I think so too. And speaking of that West Georgia game, the implications of that game is going to have. I have a lot of notes here. The playoff implications here are sincerely huge. The way I would put it is, there's a range here, and that range is Valdosta State wins, clinches the 4th spot, all the way to Valdosta State missing the playoffs in only 2 games.
Yeah, that's big.
Let me explain that one real quick. So right now, the current standings in GSC, West Florida, Lee, and Mississippi College have already clinched the 1, 2, and 3 spots. So now 4 is up for grabs. So here's the current standings. Valdosta State's at 4th, West Georgia's at 5th, Montevallo at 6th, Union at 7, Alabama Huntsville at 8th, and West Alabama at 9th. Now, the important thing to keep a note here is that all these teams are only 1 conference point away from each other, and that's determined by your record. So Valdosta State and West Georgia have 19 points, Montevallo and Union have 18 points, Alabama Huntsville 17, West Alabama is 16. So if Valdosta State wins, we beat West Georgia, we net 3 extra points for the win, and we keep the 4 spot with 22 points. Which would mean for the other teams, they would have to win out. Because those other teams I just mentioned, Montevallo, Union, Alabama, Huntsville, West Alabama, they have 2 matches remaining that they play on Friday and Sunday. Yeah. So they would have to win out. And some of these teams are facing, West Florida, Lee, Mississippi College. So they're facing the top dogs in this conference. So it's definitely going to be tough for them to win out. Now here's the thing. If Valdosta State loses, no points netted, West Georgia will jump VSU to the 4th spot. And here's the absolute worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is Valdosta State loses and Montevallo, Union, Alabama Huntsville, and West Alabama get the necessary points they need, which can range from just 2 ties or for West Alabama's case, a win and a tie. So if all those things happen, if Montevallo and Union get 2 ties, if Alabama Huntsville gets 1 win, if West Alabama gets a win and a tie in their last 2 matches, and VSU loses, we drop to 9th and get eliminated, which is a huge gap here just by losing this match.
Well, let's just plan on winning the game and not having to worry about that. But moving up forward, Jack, what do you have to tell us about volleyball?
Well, volleyball dropped 3 games in 2 days at the GSC SSC crossover tournament. Sitting at 15-6 before the weekend, they dropped 3 games in 2 days. They're now 15-9. Blazers played a total of 10 sets, only won one of those sets. Two shutouts there. But the question I've been asked by several people here on campus, are the previous 3 losses a cause for concern heading into the match against West Georgia and in even the match tonight against Auburn Montgomery? And to that I would say no, it's not a cause for concern. When you go to a tournament, you're playing more games than normal in a condensed amount of periods, so you're more likely to get more fatigue. If I remember correctly, all 3 of the games were played in a matter of 24 hours, with 2 of those being back-to-back.
That's
so
tough.
I mean, that's going to take the toll on you. So, you can't really look at those and be like, oh, man, that's concerning, because the average fan will look at their record last Friday and see 15-6 and think, man, they're winning 5 out of 7 games on pace too. That's great. And then you look at it now and you're like, well, dang, over the weekend it's dropped down to 3 out of 5 on average. Why is that? Well, like I said, tournaments, they can take a toll on you, and as long as they continue to have a success like they've had so far, there will be no problem. Like I mentioned, tonight we actually have a game. I'm pretty sure most of us in here are working that game tonight. The Auburn Montgomery comes to town, and the Blazers have a good opportunity to continue their winning ways here in conference, because out of conference games, I think we can all agree, you want to win all your games. You want to win every game you play. But at the end of the day, all I need to worry about is winning their conference games.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
these
all
are the crucial
all
ones.
that matters. Yeah.
I mean, that's all I need to really be concerned with. Now, on Saturday, they do have a tough test as they go to Pensacola to take on West Florida. I believe the Blazers have what it takes to take on West Florida, as West Florida is at the top of the conference in volleyball. It should be a very competitive game that could possibly go 5 sets. We'll have to keep a little eye out on that. But the Blazers have a stacked week coming up. Today being October 25th, they have a game tonight against Auburn Montgomery. On Saturday, they go to Pensacola to take on West Florida. And then on Halloween, they have their last scheduled matchup with West Georgia, obviously with West Georgia going to Division I next season. The Blazers, I believe they can turn around and get into their winning ways. And in terms of stacking up the rest of the season, like I said, like I've said probably 2 or 3 times now, tournaments are a different breed than it comes to actual conference play, because a lot of the times you may have back-to-back conference plays, but you're not going to play 3 in a row. I mean, it's not that big a deal. I mean, yeah, you lost 3, but at the end of the day, once you get to tournaments, it's no big deal. But believe we had a topic of football next on the docket.
Yeah, we definitely do. But before we get to that real quick, it's been a bit long we've been talking here, so we're gonna go to a quick break real quick for just a little station identification, and also to tell you guys about all of our new platforms that the Inferno Blazer Sports Show is reaching.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have new intel on the Inferno. It's spreading like a wildfire to uncharted territories, to unknown domains. We hope you join us under new distributors on Apple, Amazon, and Google, along with our current ones. Action effective immediate. Jalen out.
Welcome back, and let's get started on some football. So, since we've been gone,
Football.
after the loss to Delta State at home, we go to Mississippi
Gridiron
College,
football.
lose 21-10, win 21-10.
Yeah, you got to get it right now.
Got to get it right. And here comes homecoming, right? Got to win that game. Lost
definitely.
homecoming last year. Can't happen again, and it didn't happen again as the Blazers come out on top against Shorter 42-14, improving our record to 7-1 overall, 4-1 in conference play. So, gentlemen, what did you think about this game? I know everybody was in attendance. What do y'all think?
I would like to start off by saying that Shorter played absolutely conservative.
Exactly.
They played super conservative. Coming into the second quarter, they're driving down the field. They're now inside their 20. It's now 4th and 2, 4th and 3. And logic tells me, especially in a game where it was only 14-7, it's early, but you want to set the tone. And VSU has been good all year on setting the tone. But Shorter, they kicked the field goal. And not only do they miss the field goal, which ends up turning into VSU points down at the other end.
And that was only like a 30-yarder too.
Yeah, it was a 30-yarder that he just pushed it wide. That just ended up being, I think, the biggest turning point of this game. And VSU just knew then that this is their game to lose.
Yeah.
And they had that in control.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the entire game, like you said, very conservative play. They relied on the run game a lot. Shorter rushed for 183 yards off 37 attempts compared to VSU only 27 attempts with 170 yards off of that.
So we literally beat them at their own game. We beat them at their own running game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We talked about how fast the game went by. It's just because they was running the ball so much. I mean, VSU likes to air it out. I mean, we're air raid offense, but, I mean, we beat them at their own game, just like Jalen said.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But I will say this, though. We were talking about the home stretch coming up for soccer and also for volleyball. And the common thread between volleyball and also soccer as well, the biggest common thread that I have heard is that we have West Florida coming up, and we also have West Georgia and those big games as well. There is truly a gauntlet that VSU has to run them able to win the GSC, and that has not the same. It is same as can be said in every sport, but for football, it is key because this week it's West Florida. Who West Florida is the one in 7-1 for Delta State as they were able to win last Saturday.
Yep.
And that's a huge game.
It's a big game.
If we can knock off West Florida, who, if memory serves me correctly, we went to overtime against them last year. And it was
lost by a point.
And it came really on a questionable roughing the passer. That put the ball at the 1 yard line, and they decided to sneak and go for the win. But that's a huge game for them, because if they can knock off West Florida, they have a good opportunity to not only stay with Delta State, but also can find a way to surpass Delta State if they can get another loss.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So looking ahead, we're traveling to West Florida this week. They're 6-2 on the season. We're looking for our first win in Pensacola since 2018, the championship year. We beat them in 2019 here, but this would be the first win in Florida since 2018. Chris, you touched on this. West Florida beat Delta State last week, so I regretfully have to put my statement back. The GSC is back up for grabs. Right now, we are all tied for kind of a share of the conference title. But, if we win out and the right things happen, we can be the standalone GSC champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can look over the pushover of West Alabama that comes right after West Florida. That's also on the road as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, the potential final chapter of this great rivalry of the Red Clay rivalry between us and West Georgia.
That is going to be a big
That is a
game.
huge, not only just because of standings, and that helps, but this is the potential final ride of this. And although VSU does lead the series all time 28-14, they want that trophy back.
We got to get the basket back. If they're not going to play us again, we've got to get that basket back.
Definitely.
We got to get the basket back.
Yeah. I was hearing something from the principal while we were on the air. So, principal, I hope you ain't suspending us. You got to pay your workers. So, what's going on, principal?
No, but I did want to shout out. I know we normally just talk about Blazer sports, but I want to give a shout out to the two Valdosta high schools. And I say that it's a bit of a conflict of interest. As some of you may know,
so.
Yeah. As some of you may know, I call Moultrie, Georgia, my home, and Valdosta High and Lowndes High are in the same region as Colquitt County High, which is where I live, and so I'm conflicted to bring this up, but it does have relevance. The 7-2 Wildcats are taking on the 8-0 Packers in Moultrie this Friday night. I will be in attendance for this game, and a conflict of interest is definitely present. Both are undefeated in the region, so because of Lowndes dropping a hard-fought game last week against the Packers, just a brief note on that, on the scorecard it says it's an 18-point game, but it came down to the wire. I spoke with Coach Carter after the game of Lowndes, and he was like, "We're right there," and he's correct. I mean, Lowndes definitely was outmatched in terms of talent, but they kept fighting, and you love to see it. He's 4-4 this year at Lowndes in his first year, but I really do think that he's going to make a difference there. So I just wanted to give them a little bit of shout out as well. But as I was saying, the Packers and the Wildcats come into the game both undefeated in the region, and because of Valdosta at the very end beating Camden last week, all intensive purposes, this decides the region this year. I mean, it's going to come down to the wire, and
those are the kind of games you love to go to.
The atmosphere at the MAC is going to be absolutely it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, there's nothing like it in the world. Coming down to it, teams that you definitely know well. There's nothing like that truly in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And when we're on the subject of high school football, I want to give out a shout out to them syrup makers. Only one loss on the season. Bye week this week, heading over to Bainbridge to play for the region title game. It'd be the first time we beat Bainbridge since I was in 8th grade, like 20 million years ago.
Yeah.
So,
We were
excited
in
for that.
1987.
Yeah, I told you, that Booster Club member never forgets.
Yeah,
I promise.
I never forget because we didn't beat them when I was in high school. But yeah,
Man,
big shout out to them.
Y'all were in black and white the last time that you beat them then.
Yep, long time ago. Big shout out to them. Big shout out to the syrup makers. Bring it home, boys.
And speaking of teams playing for title games, Chris, you want to talk about it?
All right, so let's get over.
How the Phillies are not.
Listen. So is Atlanta. So
Come join us on the
Welcome
couch.
to the couch.
Hey man, Jayla, you better put in that rock. Know your role and shut your mouth. Now, my Phillies. I did an extra Ember talking about this was the year of redemption. This is the year we finally get it done. And
What do you think now?
I know. And
did turn that way.
I know. I recorded it right after game 2, and I don't know what the switch was for Arizona, but they flipped it once they got home.
Yeah, I have no idea how the Diamondbacks are in the World Series.
Do not get me wrong. And also, in the entirety of baseball playoffs, it is really good to see Game 7s. Not only a Game 7 in the ALCS, but also getting an NLCS going to a Game 7 as well. It's just great.
And also you gotta love teams that don't regularly compete at the very end of the postseason. You gotta love seeing them in there as well. I mean, outside of having the Braves in the World Series, that could be the next best thing.
Yeah, that is as well. And also Rangers in it for the first time since 2011. Last time that they were in the World Series. I was in elementary school, and they took a part of the series that got me into baseball, which was Cardinals and Rangers. And specific, Game 6, maybe the greatest baseball game I've ever seen live.
You were at that game?
Well, not at that game, but watching it on television.
Okay, well, so you know what live means then.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but watching that.
I also don't want to just ignore the fact that the Rangers pulled a New York Yankees. They have bought this World Series run with Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. They had Jacob deGrom. I mean, they got Bruce Bochy as a manager. They have bought their way here. They have New York Yankees their way to a World Series.
It's not really New York Yankee if you get to the World Series. And the last time I checked, the Yankees haven't got there.
That's true. But you know.
But I understand. I definitely understand that. But the Rangers have gotten there. But the opposite could be said for Arizona.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just a few years ago. They're 5-40 through 45 games in 2021, and now they're sitting on the doorstep of potentially their second title in franchise history.
They got the NL pennant. I mean,
yeah, they are sitting on that doorstep. So this is truly exciting. First World Series in 7 years that does not have the Astros or Dodgers.
Good.
So that is
fantastic.
Truly is important. But also last night in the mix of Game 7 and me drinking away my sorrows responsibly, of course.
Yes, absolutely responsibly.
The Hennessy was flowing at the Mercer State last night.
Yeah, don't tell my mother. We are.
I'm going to have to mark this episode as explicit now.
Oh my God. Now, of course, last night was the opener of the NBA season. 77th NBA season to be specific.
I'm not going to lie to you. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, 75th was a few years ago.
No, I can, not the counting part. I didn't realize that the NBA started last night.
Yeah, I know you're busy with your budget meetings and your superintendent board. And listen,
why would they open it up on a Game 7 of another league?
It's the same reason why they have the NBA. That's the same reason why they have the in-season tournament starting next week. Yeah, I know. They start next week.
You know what? So, we don't have time today to talk about it. But we need to bring up the in-season tournament. Because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
What is the prestige of that?
Yeah,
why do we care?
Well, also,
where's the prestige?
And also, the timing of it is horrible, considering the fact that it is November when, everybody in here knows.
Hey, November is a great month, Chris.
November is a great month. Don't get it twisted. Yes, because
don't get that twisted for football, though.
Well, yeah. Well, hold on. Hold your horses, Cal. Boy, I know you want a bye week and all, but look, I'm saying this in terms of hoops. Who is really caring about the NBA in November? Well, we all know what's happening. World Series starts at the beginning of the month, and we're getting into the big football games, and then guess what? Every religious holiday in the South is Thanksgiving and football.
Are you sure about that?
That's in there as well. So now,
Chris, listen, you're letting your Georgia public schooling shine through.
I mean, you taught us well, Principal.
Thanksgiving is not a religious holiday.
Listen, as part of the big man, as part of the big man corporation, we must eat well and eat with harvest.
I'm not saying I'm not a part of the big man corporation.
We will praise him at Thanksgiving too.
Thank you. Somebody knows. Anyway, we're discussing about how the NBA it's third tier when it comes down to World Series starts. NFL season is getting into truly high gear because you're at midway point. You have Thanksgiving coming up, which is like when everyone is really paying attention more or less with football,
college football, big games.
We're getting towards the rivalry games going on, but they should have had this tournament in December. And during
They
Christmas
shouldn't have had
time,
this tournament at
Yeah,
all.
here's the thing,
like have the
NBA
championship
season-
on Christmas Day. That would be
like
cool.
having the tournament culminate on Christmas would make a ton of sense.
Well, because Christmas Day is, I mean, in terms of sports, it's NBA. I mean,
it's NBA.
That's about the time everyone starts to get into it.
Yeah, that's when everyone is like looking and say, okay, let's see how this team's going. And it's like,
All I know is I'm just ready for the Clippers to break my heart again. That's all.
Clippers.
Yeah.
Clippers.
Well, you know what? We'll have that conversation
anyway,
later.
The NBA season started last night, and we saw the Suns beat the Lakers 119 to 107.
Fantastic.
Leading the way in scoring for the Lakers.
Wait, the Suns beat the Lakers? Are you sure about that?
Excuse me, the Nuggets beat the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
And the Suns beat the Warriors.
First, you think Thanksgiving's a holiday? You're getting teams. Are you okay? Like, do we need to go to the doctor?
We treat Thanksgiving as a holiday.
Listen,
Thank you. We treat Thanksgiving as a holiday.
I know you're taking the Phillies loss hard, but like, are you okay?
Listen, do you want to lose your cookout card, sir?
What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah,
Kyle's already lost his.
Wait, no, I'll never lose mine.
Well, you're on probation.
I'm always on probation.
That's a conversation for another day. But anyway, in this game, Nikola Jokic proved why he is
the MVP.
best player in basketball. And
Agreed.
it's not close. He had 29 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists.
Another triple double.
He played well, shooting 54% from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown. There was I let a lot of people that over the past couple of months have said, oh man, Anthony Davis when healthy, he's better than Jokic.
No, he's not. Who said that?
Yeah, I've heard it a lot.
Who said that?
A known associate of ours, but we're not talking about it right now. This was a game, another example why there is a tier, because Anthony Davis had 17 in the first half, and you're thinking, okay, Anthony Davis has done well so far.
I'm not saying Anthony Davis is a scrub.
Here's the thing, though, but I'm not saying he's a scrub either. But when you go scoreless in the second half of this game, I mean, come on,
Yeah, that's not good.
What can you do? And also, the reason why the Nuggets were able to win a title is because they were getting help on other ends, like Jamal Murray, who had 21. You had
did you see? You know what?
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope with 20.
Yes, the former Georgia Bulldog, by the way. Did you see Reggie Jackson drop LeBron last night? Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
Yeah, and the chance that will reign forever of "Who's your daddy?"
Yes, sir.
That is a legendary chant. But when you have starters in double figures, with the lowest starter in that game that had points in terms of scoring output was Michael Porter Jr., who does not pass to save his life, who had 12 points. You had Aaron Gordon with 15. This was a well-balanced game. And the Lakers, who you would think would be well-balanced, I mean, they had...
Why would you think that?
Well, here's the thing, though. The Lakers had... All of their starters were in double figures. LeBron led the way with 21 points, who led the team in scoring.
Shocker.
Taurean Prince was second in scoring. He was the starter in that game, for some reason, at 18. And then Anthony Davis, who had 17 in the first half, I should say, was held scoreless, but he had 17 as well. Austin Reeves, who has the second greatest nickname of an NBA player of all time. Don't at me.
What's the nickname, Chris?
AR-15. The Andre Karolinko had the title as one of my favorite
we're explicit.
nicknames. Yeah,
we're explicit.
Yeah, but these are all in good fun. But Andre Karolinko wore number 47, and his initials. But and AR-15. Austin Reeves.
We know what that is.
Yeah, I was just waiting for our listeners, just because they're like, oh my god, they're talking about gun. Like, no, we're not. Yeah. But there was a clear reason why the Nuggets were a tier ahead of this team, and going into the nightcapper of Suns versus Warriors, and this was rather close, 108 to 104. Devin Booker had another.
Who won, Chris?
Phoenix got the win. Principal Calhoun.
I
said it earlier, dog. I said it earlier.
No, you said the Suns beat the Lakers earlier.
Oh my God.
He's a little confused, but he's got the right idea.
Yeah, whatever, man. He had 32 in this game. Kevin Durant with 18. Jackson Kogi came up big with a big clutch shot with a minute left in the fourth. Golden State had 27 from Steph. Chris Paul, when he's getting the last shot of a game with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson for a game tying or a three that would have cut the lead down the one, there is just a problem.
If it's 5-10 years ago, that's one thing, but not now.
Just not now. Like
Chris Paul is he's I love him. He's one of the reasons I got into basketball, but he's not CP3 anymore. He's just not.
Listen, like a good neighbor, pass the ball. We're going to be taking a quick break for some station identification. This is the Inferno. We'll be back with the rivalry of Florida versus Georgia.
Sir, you said it incorrect once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have new intel on the Inferno. It's spreading like a wildfire to uncharted territories, to unknown domains. We hope you join us under new distributors on Apple, Amazon, and Google, along with our current ones. Action effective immediate. Jalen out.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Inferno. And our last topic of the day is one that, well, it's the first edition of Jack and Kyle's rivalry. As some of you may know, as good of friends we are, it is impeccable how many rivalries we have amongst the teams we support.
Pretty much all we got is the Braves. That's all we got.
That's about all we got, folks. Our first edition.
Let you down, but we ain't talking about that right now.
Yeah. Okay, listen here. Come join us on the couch. That's all we're saying. Speaking of being on the couch, unfortunately, we won't be at this game like we were last year, but the world's largest outdoor cocktail party takes place at 3:30 in Jacksonville, Florida this Saturday as the Georgia Bulldogs look to continue their winning ways against the Florida Gators. This should be, I believe not a lot of people are giving this game the attention that it should. If you look at it on paper, it looks like it should be a very competitive game, and it should be. I don't believe it'll be a 22-point blowout like it was last season, though it wasn't exactly a blowout because there was a time last season where it was one possession.
Oh, yeah.
But and another thing that's going to hurt Georgia is obviously Brock Bowers being out. But the Bulldogs come in 7-0, and the Gators come in at 5-2. I have a reason to believe the Bulldogs should win, and I say
they definitely should.
I believe when I say double digits, I don't mean by like 58 like we did TCU. I can see a 10, maybe 14-point win here.
Yeah, I definitely see it. And what you got to remember with this 5-2 record, it is a very, very gracious 5-2. I mean,
it's true.
We barely came out of South Carolina alive, and I think it's going to be a good game for the start of it. Because rivalries is rivalries, but at the end of the day, I'm not delusional. I know the Bulldogs are going to come out with the win, but
you can only hope that it's
I promise you, we record embers in between our episodes, and we record every 2 weeks. I guarantee you, this would be the first back-to-back episode in consecutive weeks if Florida beats Georgia. Guarantee you.
I promise you guys, I will make you an extra ember if the Gators beat the Bulldogs.
He's going to force all of us in here to play.
It'll just be me and Jack.
Yeah,
he's going to be stealing.
You've already got one along the way, don't you?
I got one planned. Shooting it Friday, but I'll let y'all kind of.
Well, Friday technically today because this episode's being released on Friday.
Yeah. So I'll leave y'all in suspense on what that's going to be for our listeners. But all I can say is I got a good one for you.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Anything else coming out for you, man? What's going on, Principal? You got another board meeting? What's going on?
I was going to say, we've got obviously this will come out after the game has taken place, but tonight we all work the Auburn-Montgomery volleyball game, hoping our Blazers can take them in 3 sets. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got for them tonight.
Half man, half amazing. What you got for me, player?
Just something else I also want to mention with that volleyball game. There's something that I put out on the Instagram, something I talked about in my extra ember as well. The Valdosta State athletics department is doing a little charity work. We're hosting I probably should have expected a look like that with that.
Oh, after y'all made the comment about me pulling out, you can.
The pull out.
Was it difficult for you, sir?
Anyways, go ahead, brother. Yeah, the Valdosta State Athletics Department is holding donation kiosks. They're opening donation kiosks for the Haven, a nonprofit organization helping out people going through sexual abuse, human trafficking, and domestic abuse. If you want to donate some items to the Haven, they'll have it open for the match against Auburn-Montgomery for volleyball, which this episode will be out before then. But for the volleyball match on October 31st versus West Georgia and November 2nd during VSU Basketball Madness. We encourage you guys to go out there and donate what you can, because it's going to a very good cause. It's a cause that I believe. It's a cause that I believe in, and something that I think I'd be able to contribute very well to. So it's just something out there for you guys to think about. More information is on our Instagram, but that's all I've got. Chris, if you want to wrap things up, it's on you, man.
Listen, man, there's only one thing you must understand about us, man. If you can't take the heat, what makes you think you can survive the Inferno? That's all that we got for us today, man. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Get yourself right, man. The mentals are very important, man. We will see you. Yo, Craig, say bye to the people.
Bye, Felicia.